in your opinion, what's worse, not having the attention when you're sort of not unconscious, but you can't consciously say anything as a little baby, 0 to 3, or being sent to a boarding school at say 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and then not consciously being able to interact with your parents on a day-to-day basis.
Listen, I can't absolutely say, but I would say that so let me start by saying I understand the tradition in the UK of boarding school.
Mm.
I am not a fan of boarding school for a variety of reasons. Children need their parents throughout their childhood. And as we now know, well past 18 when they leave for college, they need their parents till they're 25. Emotionally, their brains are still growing. The British view of things was that you send your children away to professionals who can do a better job than you. And I don't know who sold them that bridge. Like there's a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you. It's $10. Please buy it from me. Unless you are really a dysfunctional parent, unless you're an alcoholic, a drug addict, unless you're going through a terrible divorce and there's terrible conflict and unresolvable marital conflict, or you're a severe narcissist or borderline parent, in those cases, sending your child away may save them. There are cases in which I'll actually recommend to parents, have you thought about sending they're going through a terrible divorce, or a father is an alcoholic, or, a mother is a drug addict. I'll say, have you thought about sending your child to boarding school, a nice nurturing, where at least they get some sort of healthier adults around them. Those are the rare occasions, though. For the most part, I think there is a combination of parents' confidence being diminished in the UK over hundreds of years of this tradition, where
Right.
they really believe that someone else can do a better job. But there's also a lot of narcissism. So a lot of the British culture promoted the idea of schizoid emotions, meaning turning away from uncomfortable, shutting down in the face of uncomfortable emotions. And so it's very uncomfortable then to deal with your children's discomfort. Childhood is messy. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, it's frustrating for them, for the children, but it's also messy and uncomfortable and frustrating for the parents. So you have to be able to cope not only with the sacrifice, but with the messiness, with the discomfort, with the frustration. And if you were never taught to do that, so I don't blame the parents, I blame the society that created the parents. If you were never taught to be able to cope with the messiness and the frustration and the discomfort of childhood, then all you want to do is send your children away for someone else to deal with it. You delegate to others. And so what happens to those children is they feel that they were too much for their parents. They feel that there was something wrong with them, that their parents wouldn't raise them. Even if it's tradition, I'm going to say, even if it's part of tradition, deep inside that child doesn't have those parents to rely on to help to regulate their emotions, to process experiences and feelings and stress. Hopefully that child finds someone in the boarding school. But remember, a boarding school is, a headmaster or a housemaster with, 10 boys or girls, or it's not the same.